Hey, my Married at First Sight Australia fans, look like we are finally at the end of the season, not excluding, of course, coming up the reunion, but we have our final Vows Part 2. We have one groom that quote unquote spits the dummy, and Rupert delivered the most awkward final vows in the show history. Welcome back to Romance Review TV. It's Lady T. Got another recap for you guys. Married at First Sight Australia, Season 10, Episode 34. And without any further ado, let's talk about this episode. So we're down 2 couples. We got 3 more couples to go, and our remaining brides and groom have reached the end of this experiment. And let's just say that there's mixed emotions about making it to the end. First, for Tawny and Ollie, it's bittersweet because the two of them aren't looking forward to spending time away from each other, but are desperate to see their family and friends. And the one thing Ollie won't miss about the experiment is having to watch himself back on video. And our groom acts as if he'd rather stick a fork in his own eye than watch his and Tawny's wedding back for the first time. And of course, as we're leaving their apartment, we hear a whole lot of smooching and a whole lot of giggling from those two. But down the hall, Lindell and Cameron, yeah, there's nothing going on there. The mood is tense between these two after that whole crazy dinner party where we saw Cameron tell Lindell that he didn't see himself falling in love with her in front of the entire group. And Cameron even said, I rustled a few feathers. Man, yeah, I think you burned them to a crisp. And then when it comes to their wedding day video, it couldn't arrive at a better time with the experts hopping a trip down memory lane to give the two of them a little pick-me-up that they desperately need. And I mean, it looked like it kind of worked with these two, even though, Cameron was getting a little bit emotional. However, he says after watching the video, he and Lindell was matched for a reason, while Lindell admits that it made her feel a whole lot better about the relationship than she did the day before. However, with our third couple, it's not so much of a lovey-dovey wedding video that's going to lift the mood with Evelyn and Rupert. I mean, not that any such video of their wedding day even exists. Now, after Rupert said that he and Evelyn been intimate didn't necessarily confirm the attraction to him, Evelyn is, she's not happy about that. She even said it is frustrating when she's been so patient with Rupert. And of course, it's no secret that this little bride has taken the lead throughout their marriage, but her patience at this point has worn thin. I mean, she said, I've given it my all, but right now I'm over Rupert needing his diaper changed. And the two of them don't watch the wedding video. And as for Evelyn, she charges right out that door without saying goodbye. Now, you know what? Let's start with Evelyn and Rupert's final vows. Now, Evelyn and Rupert don't waste any time trying to seek advice from family and friends. They already have their minds made up. And according to Evelyn, who there's no lack of confidence, she knows exactly what she needs to do. However, for Rupert, just like the wedding day, he seems to be short on words and extremely nervous.
Can I grab some water? Can't Pri please grab some water? I'm getting nervous. Hoping that I just don't, crack under pressure and fumble my words.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. So...
Okay, I'll go first.
And as we saw, Evelyn arrived looking stunning as usual, and she takes the lead and read her vows first. She started by praising Rupert for his kindness, support, and understanding, and admits that she has developed genuinely strong feelings for him. But, however, those feelings aren't enough for Evelyn to get past Rupert's lack of action. She said it took him 6 weeks to take me on a single date, and that was only when I asked you to, and she said that's a lot. Rupert looks genuinely confused by this claim, but hears Evelyn out to the end, and unsurprisingly, Evelyn chooses not to continue the relationship. Now, Rupert is next, and although public speaking, of course, doesn't seem like it's his strong suit, he gives a pretty good response. Now, he starts by raving about Evelyn's dogs, pickles, and mustard, although Evelyn eventually gets her own mention of it. But he went on to say there are so many moments where we have truly clicked. I have had such a fun time with you and would have not chosen anyone else to do that with. But even Rupert knows that a platonic connection alone is not enough to sustain a healthy, loving relationship. And he signs off with his parting message to his wife by saying, Evelyn, you are an ambitious, courageous, kind, and stunning woman. I really do hope you find the love of your life because you deserve that. And Evelyn can't deny that even Rupert breaking up with her is really sweet, and she is very impressed that he remembered her dog's name. The two of them end on a kiss on the cheek, which is more than Rupert had hoped for, at least. And Evelyn pretty much got out of there like she had a plane to catch. And she says, I honestly don't think Rupert's a bad person. We just weren't right for one another. So next up is Tawny and Ollie, and I guess for the first time in the last 90 days, these two lovebirds find themselves almost 4,000 kilometers away from each other in Perth, while Tawny is in Sydney. Now, Ollie admits that he couldn't sleep for the first time without Tawny and starting to realize just how tough the long distance is going to be.
As soon as I met Tawny, I thought, we could probably make this to the end. I didn't think I'd probably have the feelings that I do now. And I'm definitely in the process of falling in love with Tawny, for sure. But obviously, there's been a lot to weigh up. And going back home kind of changed my mindset of what I was thinking. Because long distance ain't going to be a breeze. It ain't going to be a breeze. It's going to be tough.
Experiment to find love in person and to get away from the apps and from those previous relationships that I've had, talking to someone behind a screen. And with Tawny and I, we live on the further two parts in Australia. I live in Perth, she lives in Sydney. So I'm worried that our relationship will go backwards. And that is a big concern for me.
So now these two are finally reunited for their final vows in the beautiful Blue Mountains. And Ollie is absolutely loving Tawny's Marilyn Monroe vibes as they keep chatting and catching up until they eventually realize, look, we got vows to read. Tawny says that from the first hello, she felt a spark, and ever since, it felt like she'd known him for years. She's choking back tears as she reflects on the strong feelings that she developed for him, and she said, I am so grateful to have met you, and I can't thank the universe enough for aligning us and putting us together. And I'm wondering what those experts are saying. Are they rolling their eyes at Tawny, thanking the universe instead of them? Anyway, there's no ifs, no buts, maybes. She says she is falling in love with Ollie. And I mean, seriously, who can blame her? Ollie is so cute and so fun to be around. Like Tawny, Ollie says that he too felt an instant spark, but he gives them both a pat on the back for working so hard to turn that spark into something really special. And Ollie isn't sure why everyone in the experiment made out the way that they were picture perfect. He says they too faced adversity, but the secret sauce is how they tackle it. Exactly, I agree with that. They've had conversations, he says, that have been confronting and, been difficult for the both of them. Each time it happened, we put our self-interest aside and work hard on bringing it back to us as a couple. Absolutely agree with that. And she said that there's something to me that has made me really proud of you. Now, while there are mentions of long distance posing a short-term challenge, Ollie says, look, that don't matter. He claims that he's fallen in love with Tawny and finally answers the question that they both been dancing around, that they are full-blown in a relationship. And Ollie was even grinning about the fact that he think it's the same that goes if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. You know what? It's a bloody duck. And I know, this was something beautiful to see. This is obviously the golden couple of the season. So looking forward to see where these two head off into the sunset in the future. So next up is Lindell and Cameron in this final part of this experiment. So with Cameron returning home to Darwin, his mind is crispier than a potato chip. And he says that having some freedom has given him clarity. And to put it simply, he just doesn't have those feelings for Lindell. Yikes. Now Cameron tells his mate that he is not falling in love with her. And despite his mate calling Lindell a genuine chick, Cameron says there's just way too many concerns. I mean, he goes on to say that the conflict gets nasty very quick, then the remote work, and then the two different states. It's just too much and it's too hard. And Cameron is just not too sure he want to make those sacrifices because Lindell doesn't fit in with his life. And basically, it's all in too hard a basket, as he call it. And Cameron just wants to get this show on the road. And he's just waiting to get hit by lightning, put himself out of his misery, and he's pretty much over it. However, on the flip side, with Lindell, who is in Perth, unaware that Cameron has already settled into his life without her, she's missing her husband. And she did catch up with her mom. There's a connection there. She says that, of course, she's hurt by the revelation he made in front of the group. But we see her having a lot to consider as she moves into the final vows. So the two of them meet finally in this beautiful lush garden to recite their final vows. Lindell starts with all of the usual sweet sentiments about the beginning of their journey, how she's beaming that when she first met him on the wedding day, he was warm, welcoming, funny, and sweet, and how he instantly made her feel at ease, like she's finally found what she was looking for. But it's not long before Lindell goes in, as old mate Dan would call it, full beast mode.
Should we do it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Cam, I came to this experiment with the simple goal of finding love. For most of my life, being married, having a partner, and planning for the future were pipe dreams I guilted of. I thought that because I have cystic fibrosis, I could never be someone's forever person. I've waited almost all my life to finally be able to offer my unwavering commitment to someone. I came here the happiest, healthiest version of myself yet, ready to commit to you through thick and thin, and to always do everything in my power to make sure you knew I was in this for the long haul. I've been thinking about when I first met you, On our wedding day, you were warm, welcoming, funny, and sweet. You instantly made me feel at ease, like I'd finally found what I was looking for. It was one of the best days of my life. Those first few weeks were amazing, comparing country songs, singing in the shower, soaking up the sun, and getting to know each other. You threw yourself into this experience, into me. Unfortunately, at one point or another, the man I met at our wedding started fading away. In our first few weeks together, you could barely sit through the smallest of criticisms and constantly walked out of hard conversations, leaving me to pick up the pieces. You told me you've never had a relationship because you can't handle being confronted and so you run. Then, on several occasions, you told me to be silent, regardless of what was right, to stay in my lane or you'd run from me too. Once these cracks started to form, you withdrew from this relationship completely. I constantly had for a shred of affection, your time, your attention, and support when I was hurting. I felt like I was a burden and that being there for me as my partner was an inconvenience. I drove myself insane trying to figure out how to be the partner you wanted. I've realised that there was never anything I could do to be the partner you wanted because you simply don't want one. This entire relationship has been on your terms and yours alone. My patience has been challenged, my commitment taken for granted. Relationships mean you work with people through their flaws, but you don't forgive them for treating you poorly. If there is one good thing that cystic fibrosis has given me, it's resilience. All my life, I've had so much. I've been held back, limited, and struggled through trauma and judgment I wouldn't wish on anyone. But I have always thrived in spite of that. I have now been given a miracle, a fresh start, a new version of my life that is completely unburdened and unlimited. I won't spend another moment of that life restricted. Not by my condition, not by my body, not by fear, certainly not by you. So, to put it plainly, stay in your lane and I want to build a life I'm proud of. And that life does not include you.
Well said.
Thank you. Before you start, just on that. I just feel like no matter what today, it's only going to disappoint me again. I think I'm just done. So,
Perfect. You can have them then. Hi, get me in a car. I'm out of here. That's me done.
So on that note, Cameron tossed his vows to the ground. Perfect, you can have them. Get me a car. I'm out of here. That's me done. And he leaves the garden alone. Lindell is not the least bit surprised by, of course, Cameron's reaction. She called it classic. And she said that, you know what, it wouldn't be a hard conversation with Cam splitting the dummy and walking out. And I don't know, they were the first couple to get married on air from what we seen at the beginning of the season. I actually thought that these two would go far, like, of course, Tawny and Ollie, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. I'm also disappointed in Duncan and Alyssa. It started off great, and somewhere in the middle, Alyssa just lost it. So I guess we got to wait to see what happens next, because that reunion looked like it's going to be absolute chaos. Okay, so let's get the conversation started down in the comment section. What do you think about Cameron's reaction? Why do you think Rupert looks so shocked? Do you think that he expected something different from Evelyn? And are you excited about our final couple that is actually staying together, Ollie and Tawny? So I hope you enjoyed this recap. Stay tuned for other updates and recaps on this channel. And until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Bye.